So I've brought you all here because there's a very big social aspect to being a musician, whether it involves learning to play with others, forming bonds and relationships that will last for your whole musical career, etc., etc. But this pandemic that we've been in is not very conducive to that, because we've all been sort of trapped inside without much contact with the outside world. But sometimes you do need that in order to get inspired. So this week I've gathered the opinion of some friends, you guys. So I wanted to thank you guys for gathering here today. Instead of dealing with the big bad scariness of the outside world, we're able to safely congregate in here. Anyways, I need some suggestions for songs this week. So what are your thoughts, my friends? So what do you think? Use Bounty? Jenny? Tate or Tate? They're just a little bit shy. I'm sure we'll get an answer in a second or two. They're thinking. They're just... Creativity takes time.
This is the story of someone who likes trying way too many different things. But it's also the story of him trying to get kind of okay at them. Welcome to A La Plancha.
Hello, welcome back to an episode of A La Professional. As you can see, this time we have a microphone right here. I know based on all the stuff I've done so far, it seems like I only have just one mic, which is sort of true. Got our good old trusty Shure that I've had for probably longer than any old instrument. But I forgot I have this like cheap microphone that I bought on eBay. That's a condenser microphone, which I'm sure if anyone wants to know more about mics, I can probably just blab about those all day. But I decided to plug it into the camera and give it a shot. So you'll be able to hear my dulcet tones right up close. Do I sound good? Good. Anyways, on this week, on A La Plancha, we've officially hit about a month of just making music every week. Woo! But I thought I'd do something a little bit different this week. I'll kind of explain it as I go along. Right now it is Monday, the very start of the week. And I wanted to go a little bit more simple this week. Little bit more simple. But you know me, I like to impose these little restrictions on myself to get the gears going, because usually for music with this project, it's kind of like crank them out as quick as I can. Like as if I was working a shift down at the old Ritz cracker factory in the 1950s, just fast. Carbs. So for this week, the restrictions that I'm going to impose on myself is we're going to be recording with only 4 tracks. I'll elaborate on that later, but just treat it as only 4 instruments for now. And I also decided that I would reach out onto social media. I went on my Instagram and I posted a message for my friends, and I got a couple of responses. I basically asked them, hey, give me like a word or two that I can use for the basis of like a song topic. So I'm going to take each result that I like and then try to make a little song out of it. So I'm going to be making these little tiny songs, but along with the little tiny songs based on the suggestions off of social media, I also came up with a mystery topic that I will reveal at the end. But basically, I'm going to use all the suggestions from Instagram to make these little warm-up baby songs. But I myself have picked the topic of the final song, but you won't see it until the very end, for I have locked it away in the ancient chest of Sandunga. But enough about that. So we're going to see how the week goes. First off, we're going to edit the little baby songs in first, and then at the end, we'll send it off with a bang. I mean, it's still going to adhere to that whole 4-track rule, so I'm trying to keep it simple this week still. On to the Instagram tracks first. So let's go through each track one by one. I'm just going to review them in order, just chilling, presenting them here with my friends. Anyways, I wanted to limit myself this week by only using 4 tracks per song. The thing you have to know about recording is that we we sort of started just by capturing the whole performance of whatever band or artist was playing. And then during World War II, the idea of recording to tape, like if you ever record to a cassette tape, it's sort of the same idea. We started off being able to record separate instruments onto separate tracks. So you can imagine maybe, like, grossly simplifying it, but you can imagine maybe each instrument being on one little tape recorder. And so Les Paul himself was the first big innovator of multi-track recording, where you could finally record a different instrument on every track. And originally, like, the way they mixed them down was one track for the singer and then everything else on the left and right track, until, like, the Beatles themselves are the ones that popularized 4-track multi-recordings, right? That's when you start hearing all the hubbub about stereo, left and right channels and whatnot. I know I'm grossly simplifying it, but I think just the idea of, like, okay, you can only use 4 tracks in Ableton to record stuff. So I can still toss, like, effects and stuff like that when I record, whether it's my equipment or like a plugin or something, but I can't put more than 4 instruments, basically, because each instrument track can only have 1 instrument. So on Instagram, I asked people to give me 1 or 2 words to make a song about. The first one that I got was literally just honey shoes. When I thought about that, I kind of just got like this, like, cheek, like, going out type of night vibe. And I wanted to come up with something that was sort of like, there's this folk artist I like a lot called Sibyl Bayer. She only ever put out like 1 album, but it's like literally one of my favorite folk albums ever. So limiting myself to only 4 tracks, I actually went with only 2 on this one. I tried to create like this folky, quiet type of vibe to it. And I ended up going with this sort of casino gambling. Like, when I picture honey shoes, I picture like y'all are dressed up to go out for a night on the town. And I thought that whole casino, like, gambling vibe was like a nice throwback to folk music that I liked to listen to a lot when I was growing up. So yeah, first up is Honey Shoes. And yeah, real simple, not even 4 tracks really, just the guitar and vocals. But without further ado, track number 1, Honey Shoes.
Just another weekend, guess my love is sleeping, and if I got it's cold, won't be seen together. What about the tether to sew us up real close? Rolling high, I'm been low, cause you know my honey needs new shoes. I've been wise to blue roll, then we won't save even our clothes home. Bed and binds me closed, no fare to drive us home. Another weekend gone. Would you believe me? Would they deceive me? Telefutura.
Oh, hello there. I sure hope you enjoyed the track. So that was Honey Shoes, the first suggestion I got from Instagram. And the next one that I got was a little bit weird. I definitely wanted to go a little bit more complex with this one. I wanted to use all 4 tracks this time, so we have 4 instruments. The word that I got this time was cat dog. If you're a fossil like me, right away you thought of the 90s cartoon. And that's sort of the vibe that I got. So I tried to think of like the theme song to that cartoon. Like I don't remember, truthfully be told, I probably should have looked up the theme music before I started writing this one, but I figured that would have colored the sound of the final track too much anyways. So I sort of tried to go from memory. I remember there being like this really cool bass line with like these like sort of washboard drums. I ended up going with a drum machine on this one, unfortunately limited to only 4 tracks. So recording the actual drums, I'd have to do with 1 mic. And I decided it was a little bit too complicated to get that to sound nice on just 1 track. It's definitely doable. There's ways to just record drums with 1 microphone and make it sound cool. But I kept it simple. I ended up using just a drum machine plugin that I default to. Along with that, I recorded actually a bass line on my synthesizer to kind of give myself that cat dog vibe. I also recorded some guitar with like the 70s vibe to give it that sort of wah effect and a little bit more of a push and energy to the track. And I'm pretty pleased with the final result. So here is Cat Dog.
Okay, this is Cat Dog. Here we go. Not a cat, but not a dog. Don't even know what I'm hunting anymore. Ain't got no friends here out at all. Guess I'm a freak of nature. Guess I'm some kind of danger. Inside out of both. Just another piece on the line. But my canine lives are out of luck.
Why hello again. So that was our track Cat Dog. I hope it gave you some Nickelodeon vibes. So the next suggestion that I got was Paranoid Android, which I guess people wanted me to just rip off Radiohead. So instead of being a doofus, I actually tried to sit down and think, what would a song called this, Paranoid Android, you know, without any outside influence of like high school me that used to listen to Radiohead a lot. I still do. And so I sat down and I wrote this song just about a robot questioning himself. I went with another just drum machine. This time I used some actual samples for the drum machine, but it's all still on one track, just a simple loop. And then I ended up just using synthesizers for this one. I used my Rhodes to kind of create like this sort of jazzy, somewhat like somber progression. I wanted it to sort of fit with the idea of like a robot questioning their place in this world. And then I used another synthesizer to do some more like subtle stuff on the top, just some pads and some layering. So even though it's a song about a robot, like I even use some effects on my vocals on this one to give it this more digital feel at certain points. I wanted it to still sort of feel like a performance, like imagine a robot at like a club playing the jazz piano and performing to you. So without further ado, here is Paranoid Android.
I'm underappreciated. I'm just another robot boys, rusting out. Could I need to be upgraded? Or is this still logical? Sort of thought. Am I wrong in this calculating code? They act like it all faze me, but robots also
Wow, back again so soon, huh? So that was Paranoid Android. I hope you liked it. Hope it didn't sound like a Radiohead ripoff. I was pretty not trying to do that. But anyways, to keep it flowing along, I actually came up with a suggestion of my own. So I bet you're wondering what my suggestion for this week was, huh? Well, don't worry, I have it right in here. Let's go ahead and review it. I know I'm hyping this up a lot, but it's really no big deal. But I know you want to know. Okay, so we've gone ahead and pulled it out of the chest of mysteries. And this week's topic, or rather this song's topic, this is upside down. Lucky Cricket. And for my suggestion, I actually have been trying to think about what my album themes are going to be. So I haven't been like dead set on themes for this from the beginning. I just know what type of workflow I wanted, right? To just create music every week and be able to sort of present it in this video format. But I have been noticing a pattern. So my last song was Emerald Highway. Before that, I did a song called Hawaiian Punch. And there's sort of like this color motif that's going on. The week before that, I did a song called Space Folk, which isn't color themed, but I think arguably could be like maybe a black or blue color, maybe a white color, NASA color. But definitely the other two, I think of red and green respectively. So for this week, I thought it would be cool to kind of continue that sort of color motif. And I don't know why, maybe because I've been working a lot at night on these, but right away I thought of the word crickets. Crickets are actually considered a sacred and very lucky type of creature in a lot of cultures. And so I thought it was kind of a cool wordplay, sort of like golden ticket, but instead there's a freaking insect, that you're getting. Not to diss crickets, I like crickets. Some cultures consider them sacred, so this will not be a cricket bashing episode, so we won't do that here. But on this one, I wanted to do sort of just like a classic indie lo-fi type of thing. I like bands like Always a lot growing up, and so I kind of wanted to capture that similar energy. Obviously, we're still working with like a drum machine, so maybe one day this can develop into like an actual big song where I can get some real drums and just sort of expand on the ideas. I wanted to emphasize that this week is more about just cranking out the music as opposed to like sitting down and trying to create like a complete track with all the bells and whistles. Even if they're not quite skeletons, they're a little bit bare bones like that, these tracks. And so I think this one has a lot of potential to become something cool later on. I try to keep everything sort of like washed out. The drums are just sort of in the distance. The bass is a little bit quiet. It's not as like jazzy or plucky as it normally is. It's a little bit more chilled out and subdued. And then the guitar is just a classic guitar. I use a distortion pedal at some point. Just a lot of reverb, a lot of warble, lo-fi pitch shenanigans going on right there. I was thinking about imagery when I was writing in terms of just religion, symbolism, just abstract concepts like luck and karma. And I thought I created a little fun throwback type of track, so I'm pretty happy with how this one turned out. So without further ado, here is Lucky Crickets.
Always talk on airways if you're not spiritual.
So I'd like to thank everyone that sent me a little mini suggestion on Instagram this week. I think it led to some really cool mini songs. Worst case, something that could blossom into a much bigger, detailed song, given some extra love and care, some extra time. Anyways, I definitely learned this week that even though you can't see your friends physically all that easily right now, you can still ask them and see if you can get any inspiration or motivation from that. It's definitely better than talking to these guys back here. In fact, truth be told, they sort of watch me at all hours of the day. This is not a joke. I was kind of looking through my credit history the other day, and I feel like Used Bounty Towel has just been kind of monitoring everything I do and somehow gained access to my credit card. I don't know, just a lot of suspicious activity. But if anything, this proves that maybe it's not so scary to go outside. So I'm gonna go take a trip to the outside world where it's not scary and nothing bad happens at all.
You can never escape us. You're not meant for the outside world. There always is going to be a guitar pedal. Yeah, good luck visiting that animatronics museum. Good luck banging on one rhymes, but you know, it's funny to make the fair, and it's good for you. It's good for you, and all the